As you will see in the program, this is titled, You Got to Listen to Me, What the Youth Have to Say About Youth Unemployment. We have a large panel here, as you can see, and our own Asimina Koutrouboussi did a great job in setting this living room up. Why we're doing this? We can't really be discussing youth unemployment without involving the youth. We need to hear what actually the younger generations are dealing with in terms of problems. That's a representative of the younger generation with problems and challenges. This is May, by the way. So we need to engage the people that are actually affected by the current situation in this discussion. And we are very privileged to have here with us tonight a group of very special and talented people from all over the world, and not just Greece. To a great majority, some of the panelists, yes, they are from Greece because they are experiencing all these difficulties that everyone knows that people are going through these days. So we have here a broad representatives from a broad age range, from 19 to mid and late 30s. We have people who are talented, scholars of various prestigious institutions, such as MoMA or the Pasteur Institute, young, persistent entrepreneurs, young people who have experienced firsthand accessibility problems, problems dealing with how do you access the employment, the job market when you are qualified, but no one really gives you the opportunity to just, start your own job or enter the market. So we'll all embark on this dialogue tonight, and I'm very happy to be sharing this panel in terms of moderating it. Maria Orejas, who is the director of the thematic networks of the European Foundation Center, and Maria will tell you a bit about the structure of the session.
Thank you, Lenia. As this will be the last panel of this intense day, yet very interesting but intense, we thought about introducing a little game element to keep the energy up for this closing and to make the most of the talent that we have here. So the challenger Lenia has thought of will allow the panelists to build a story about what they have to say on this important issue to them. And the way in which the challenger works is that we have first asked all the panelists in here today to provide us 2 keywords related to the matter that meant something to them. We have compiled those words, and then we are going to randomly distribute them back to them. And we'll go for 2 tours of this, so each of them will receive 1 keyword. And then hopefully we will have enough time to receive some input from the floor, either in the shape of a keyword that comes to your mind, either you want to ask a question about one of the personalized stories that you have heard during the presentation. We will start first with a brief introduction about all the panelists who are here with us today, a very brief one. You have more details in the program about who they are, and we are too many to go in depth. And we'll have to also look at the time and not go in the stories too long, because right after this session we will go live. Mm-hmm. So
we can start with introductions. I have next to me Ioanna Maria Gertsou. Ioanna, would you like to say 2 words about yourself?
Hello, my name is Ioanna Maria Gertsou. I'm 35 years old, and I am the founder of Lara Guide Dog School, which is the first guide dog-related organization in Greece.
Hello, I am Stamatiou. I am a Greek London-based theatre practitioner and educator. I'm a higher education lecturer in performing arts and program coordinator at Bath Spa University in England, a PhD candidate at Royal Centre School of Speech and Drama, University of London, and I also work as a freelance theatre director, actor, and solo performer internationally.
Hello, my name is Angeliki Kounava. I'm 29 years old, and I'm doing a year-long internship at the Museum of Modern Art, sponsored by the Stavros Niarchos Foundation.
Hi, my name is Katherine Gordillo, and I'm from Colombia. I'm 25 years old, but I currently reside in Boston. I work at Wellington Management Company as assistant analyst.
Καλησπέρα από μένα.
So, sorry, I wanted to speak Greek. My name is Leonidas Ektoras. I'm 19 years old. I like football. I want to become a professional footballer, and my hobby is music. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dimitra Nikolou. I'm 27 years old, and I'm also a 12-month intern at the Museum of Modern Art in New York at the Department of Architecture and Design.
Hello, everyone. I would like to thank, first of all, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation for the invitation. My name is Fanny Koukouli. I'm working at the Institut Pasteur in Paris, where I'm doing my PhD on the role of nicotine in Alzheimer's disease.
Hello, I am Lida Mantourani. I am co-founder of Culture Play, a startup that promotes cultural heritage with various new technologies. We're currently hosted at Orange Grove, an incubator for startups managed by the Dutch Embassy in Athens.
Hi everyone, thank you for the invitation. My name is Aris Konstantinidis. I'm 23 years old, graduate from the Business Administration Department of Athens University of Economics and Business, and I'm the co-founder of GloVo, which is a global volunteers platform that empowers and mobilizes young people by connecting them to volunteer actions and events all over the world.
Hello everybody, my name is Konstantinos Kavakiotis. I am 34 years old. I consider to be an actor, and I don't know why I'm so stressed now. I am a lecturer in the University of Macedonia in Thessaloniki, and also a visiting lecturer in Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. Plus, I am the founder of Drama Classes London. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ioli Andreadi. I am 32 years old, and I am a freelance theater director. I work internationally, and I'm also an educator, currently based at the giving workshops at the Visitors Center at the Stavros Niarchos site, and I hold a PhD in English from King's College, London.
Hi everybody, my name is Zied Dahmani. I am an EFE alumnus. I am 26 years old, Tunisian civil engineer. Actually, I am working with the CCC in Qatar in construction as a site construction engineer. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sandra Ghandi. I'm from Bethlehem, Palestine. I work as a reservation manager at the hotel in Bethlehem. I graduated 2013 from EFE. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joanna Theodorou. I'm 24 years old and I'm Greek, and I'm the co-founder of Reload Greece, a London-based initiative to engage Greeks abroad to contribute to the future of Greece through entrepreneurship. Thank you.
So thank you for the introductions. Are you ready to play? Let's start with our first keyword. Whoops, sorry. It's the word opportunity. Kat, what does this mean to you?
So, at the age of 12, I moved to the United States, and after graduating from high school, I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue with the regular education that means going to college, and I had some restraints financially. So, I worked for 2 years, and then I heard about Year Up. So Year Up gave me the opportunity to get skills in the IT field for 6 months. And in addition to that, I took classes in customer service. They gave me feedback, business communication. And then after the 6 months were done, I was given the opportunity to work at Wellington Management as an intern. After working there for 6 months, I was given the opportunity of getting hired, and I've been there for 5 years in total. So I guess Year Up gave me the opportunity and opened the doors to get my foot up the door at Wellington Management. And that also gave me the chance to continue with my education. I'm now a senior in college, and I should be graduating next year.
Thank you, Kat.
Interesting story. We received this other word that is modern education. So, Zied, what would that mean to you?
Thank you. Since I was in university, I was planning to get a nice job, actually. So I focus on having a good education. Education in universities are outdated, to be clear, in my country, and I think in all countries where rate of unemployment is high. So we have to improve the methods and the programs in universities to have a modern education. What is better to start building a new strategy between the universities and the professional market for the job offers with starting the education, with having a good basic stone to build a new, to have a nice building that can improve all the employment system. Thank you.
The word promotion, I wonder. Sandra, does it ring any bells?
Yeah. Well, it means a lot to me because after graduation from university, I spent 3 years working so hard to get the next level. And then after 3 years, I discovered that it's not working with me in the old job. So I decided to move it, and to move from the old job. I applied for an EFE hospitality program, and after this program, I applied for another new job. And within a year and a half, I become, from a receptionist to a reservation, to a supervisor, and now I work as a reservation manager in 1 year and a half. Yeah, that's it.
Well done.
Congratulations. Yeah. So our next one is brain drain. So Ioanna, would you like to take that one?
Okay, I'll take this one. So that's an issue that we hear a lot about lately because people are scared of unemployment, so they're considering going abroad. I did the opposite. I lived my whole life abroad, and I came back to Greece about a year ago. And I think that's where the sticking point is. The problem is other people are going abroad because it's a good thing. You get the experience. Problem is that they're afraid to come back. And that was one of the reasons why we tackle this sort of questions with Reload Greece, is that we need to show ourselves and other people just like us that don't want to be a lost generation, that there are reasons to believe in Greece, and with the right support and the right help, there are actually reasons to come back and turn the brain drain into a brain gain. And I think that's a very important target for us to set.
Thank you for that.
We have the word studies. Well, it's a rather broad subject, but Angeliki, does it mean anything special to you?
So, I have studied fine arts and sciences of art in the University of Ioanna, and then I did my master in history of art in Paris. I'd like to talk a little bit about my bachelor degree from Fine Arts and Sciences of Art, a department founded in 2000 in the University of Ioanna. My decision back then, as a high school student, was definitely based on my love for art, and it's definitely a decision I do not regret. My degree has been fully accepted and respected both in Paris and New York. It's the degree that has given me now the opportunity to work at MoMA and with the chief curator of photography. Unfortunately, though, in Greece from 2004, when the first students graduated, until today, it has been completely ignored and excluded from all job positions announced by the Ministry of Culture and Ministry of Education. Recently, there was a regulation that constituted working rights for the graduates, but all of us who got into university before 2006, we remain excluded. So I just wanted to say that I'm not the only one from this department, especially that we seek a better future abroad, where our studies and our efforts are given the value they are worth. Thank you.
Thank you. All very powerful stories, right? We have the next word that would be motivation for Ioanna. So, would you?
Yes, I have. Yes. Okay, motivation is a natural force that which derives from the cognitive and biological need of people for security and self-esteem, and all of us in this highly competitive society that we live on, we strive for motivation through love, money, success, a good career, etc., etc. But despite the fact that motivation is an interactive process, we tend to forgive, especially the one of us who happen to be in a superior we tend to forget, especially the one of us who happen to be in a superior position, that we also, it's our duty to create motives for people who cannot find them themselves. So my duty is to provide motivation to people who are visually impaired so they can go out independently and seek for a job and have a career in a country where 95% of visually impaired people are currently unemployed. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We move on to the word science. Fanny, I know you are currently doing your PhD with Pasteur Institute. So would you like to tell us a few things about what this word means to you?
The word science gives me now the opportunity to share with you my personal story and to explain to you how difficult it is to follow a scientific career here in Greece. In 2003, I was selected in a pharmacy school in the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, and being aware of the fact that I'm coming from a family with no pharmacists, I wanted to build up immediately a very strong CV in order to be able to find a job after my studies. What I did was to become a member of a research group studying neurodegeneration in Aristotle University. I liked science very much. I worked to this lab for 5 years, 3 years as an undergraduate student and 2 years as a master's student, never being paid. I finished my master's thesis and I wanted to continue doing science in a PhD level. I had a very hard time to find a funded PhD position here in Greece. So I took the decision that I have to live abroad in order to continue conducting research. I found the international PhD program at the Institut Pasteur in Paris, and I was selected among 250 candidates all over the world. The positions were only 9, only one position in my field in neuroscience. My program is funded by Stavros Niarchos Foundation, and it gave me the opportunity to interact with prestigious scientists and also take another scholarship in Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory in New York. So in the session we had in the morning, I would like to be honest with you, I was really bothered because I heard Greeks are not well educated. Greeks, they don't have skills. What the Greek state really does for Greeks that they have skills, they have passion, and they are talented. Thank you.
Thank you, Fanny.
Thank you for that pledge. We will go to the next word now for Evie. So that would be world citizenship.
You missed one.
Okay. No.
I will,
oh, sorry. In fact, it's fine.
It's okay.
Yes. Okay. World citizenship. I am a citizen of the world, but with a Greek identity. which started from a curse, but it ended up to be a blessing. I left Greece in 2009 for studies, but also to work internationally. And it's a very competitive field, performing arts, so actually very often I do hit a wall. And every time I do hit a wall, my mom from Ioanna tells me, darling, you've gone too far, it's okay, come back home. So I try occasionally to come back home, but the problem is the door is closed. And I don't know if you've ever felt you've left your keys in your apartment or you lost your keys. So I decided, instead of breaking it down, because it wouldn't suit my work anyway, to embody home. So I decided to carry home, which is the Greek identity and the Greek culture, and share its beauty with the rest of the world. In May, I did an adaptation of Aristophanes' The Frogs in England, and the theme was European citizenship. In August, I'm taking my solo performance, Caryatid Unplugged, in a festival in Estonia, and it's about the ancient Greek column and also that as a metaphor for human trafficking. My vision is a performance that will be highly entertaining as Aristophanes' work, because laughter does unite people, and at the same time it will be inclusive, it will facilitate a discussion with the audience, it will be interactive in a sense of a prototype of the ancient Athenian democracy. And it's not a political performance, it's a politiki performance in this, with the sense of Aristoteles' politiki as the good of the city. And this city for me now is the world. So I thank very much, I'm very grateful to my Greek identity and culture and the Greek crisis actually, because it has inspired and defined my vision for a performance that is from and for world citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. So to a large extent, it depends on how you see the glass, how full or half empty, because you're thankful for the crisis.
You can ask my mom about that.
So let's go one slide back. Faith, πίστη, Ektora.
Εγώ αυτή τη λέξη την έβαλα.
Well, I have this in my vocabulary, and I use it frequently because I believe if there's faith, will, and love in what you do, and I can say that sports has taught me this full well because I've been doing it for the last 6 years or so. I believe that if somebody wants and believes, and despite the difficulties to attain a dream, I think they will manage to do so. And something that I learned at school, although I was not a very good pupil, I must admit, I have Ulysses' journey in mind, that despite the adverse conditions and all the unpleasantness, Ulysses managed to arrive back home. And that's what I think will happen for me and football. Well, we hope that's the case.
We've just heard from being a citizen of the world. So now we'll go to identity as opposite to that. So Ioli, would you like to tell us something about this word?
By identity, what I understand from this word, like its meaning to me, is identifying with oneself and having somehow the image we have for ourselves and our ego become one. As this sense of identity is endangered during unemployment, during a period or periods of unemployment. As Jimmy Nelson showed us and told us earlier about losing his hair and his perception of himself changing, unemployment has a similar effect to people of all ages. So it is something that its effects need to be cured. And a person has to have a very strong, a very stable sense of identity in order to overcome this challenge, which, however, remains a big challenge. Because as the philosopher Roberto Esposito says, a person who has an office to perform is communis. A person who has no office to perform is immunis, and therefore ingratus, ungrateful. So ungratefulness goes both ways. When society, community, is ungrateful to individuals, individuals too can be ungrateful to the communities they belong to, the society, etc. So it's perhaps a word that needs to be taken into account when trying to tackle unemployment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ioli. Very nice. Well, that's a difficult word, precariousness. Dimitra, what do you feel about this word?
Okay, this word and what it represents has been the cause of many headaches, sleepless nights, and endless conversation with many of my friends who go through the same things as I am. I'm 27 years old. When I left Greece, I had already completed my first studies, and the crisis was at its beginning, so I feel that most of us could not predict the severity and the extent of the crisis. And it was a common practice 4.5 years ago, and still in the past, that after the first studies in a Greek university, someone would travel abroad for a year to enrich his academic and professional background, and then come back to Greece and work here, offer whatever he had to offer, and even more. After the first year and after my master's degree, it became really hard to come back. It's extremely hard because it's not only a financial crisis, it's mostly a systemic crisis. So when a system does not function properly, you don't only have to fight with financial difficulties, that with the help of your parents, which is not ideal, but you can overcome with the help of your relatives. But when the system does not function, you have to fight with a monster. So every year it becomes harder and harder to come back, but I'm still optimistic. And we keep saying with my friends every year, next year it will work out and we'll be back in Greece. Next year it will work out and we will go back to Greece. Well, 4.5 years have passed, and the only thing I can say is that maybe next year we'll be happy enough to come back.
Hopefully we can meet here next year and you can tell us.
Hopefully it will be. The next word we have is cooperation. With Lida, would you like to take the floor now? Yes.
Cooperation. I think it's my guiding principle in forming a business. For a long time I've been brainstorming with friends and acquaintances about what wonders we could make with the use of cultural heritage. And I think the prospect of engaging with like-minded people in a creative process, of materializing ideas exactly as you have them in mind, and of making a living really with, by working with friends, I think that's what led me to start looking for ways to form a cooperative entity that will be economically viable, but that would also create new employment prospects in Greece. So moving on to the startup phase, cooperation actually became a resource and perhaps also a strategy. As we had no funding to begin with and no resources, we decided to break down the development of our products in small and manageable tasks that could be undertaken by any interested party in their free time, and that would give them the prospect of reward in the long run. And that's how we approached and managed to convince individuals of the value of our work, and in time to engage their professional skills on a pro bono basis. Getting deeper into the business environment, we realized that we began to cherish cooperation with established organizations as well. We found out that in this period of crisis, larger entities are more inclined perhaps to listen to and support new ideas, which new ideas for many are actually new ideas for these larger corporations perhaps could work as incentives for their transition to a new collaborative economy. That's how we saw it. But beyond that, for us, cooperation with larger entities is credibility. It increases our credibility and it helps us develop our professionalism. So we are looking out for cooperations a lot. So overall, I think cooperation as a resource and as a method has given us the strength and confidence and a strong team with whom we are able to overcome rise beyond the obstacles of our age and proceed with our plans. So, thank you.
Thank you. So, Ari, let's see what you have. You have the word redefine. What does it mean to you?
Okay. Okay. So redefine means giving new meaning to something. Redefining volunteerism was actually the reason why we launched GloVo 2 years ago. So redefine is a word that I actually use a lot. I will begin by posing a question. How can we define the words ideal job? Okay. A few years ago, I would say that the ideal job is a job that gives you a high salary and few working hours and perhaps a very good working environment. But I think that nowadays things have changed a lot. So with all the non-viable economies that have been emerging all those years and the activation of youth and the unsustainable growth, nowadays young people cannot even identify or seize the opportunities that appear around them. So in order to re-empower young people and tackle youth unemployment, I believe that we should try to redefine our perception of the ideal job or ideal career path. So nowadays we have people that finish school, they follow the traditional way, finish school, then enter university, and eventually end up acquiring skills that are useless in the labor market. So we see that we can identify a lot of gaps in there. And I believe that we should try to close those gaps and try to create cooperations and synergies between not only the government, but also companies, NGOs, and institutions, so that we can utilize all those talents and the skill set that the new generation has. So I saw the last question from the previous panel. I think it was the last one. And a lot of you people voted that we should let young people figure out what they are going to do with their lives. I agree. I believe that every young people nowadays should just pick something that he or she enjoys doing and is good at, try to become better every day, work harder, and eventually this will lead him or her to become one of the best at this. And then this will bring success one day, and I believe that the high salary and all the rest will eventually follow. So let's try to bring young people closer to the labor market and help them acquire the skills that they truly need and redefine what we consider as the ideal job or career path.
Thank you, Ari.
So for the last word of the first round, it's amazing how these words inspire so many beautiful and powerful stories. It will be the word fight, and it will be for Konstantinos, if you want to.
Fight. Fight, fight. Good word, huh? I think it was a good choice, yes. So, I believe I'm one of the luckiest in this room, as my profession wasn't hit by the global crisis, because being unemployed as an actor, it's a common day since the 50s. So, you need to do a lot of other works, wherever you are. You are considered as successful in London if you are working as an actor 6 months per year. So the other 6 months, of course, you understand that you need to do, other jobs. In the past, somebody asked me if I'm an actor, and I replied, yes, would you like fries with that? So 7 years ago, I made this choice, and I went to London to study acting. And I remember when I was using the London Tube, the Underground, once in a blue moon, I was listening to Greek. That was very rare. It was once every month, and it was mainly some old women carrying bags from the British Museum and Harrods, and they were speaking Greek. Now, every day I'm listening to Greek, wherever I am. In the bus, in the underground, in the museum, in the park, in the pub. London is full of Greeks. It's been like 3 years now that London is full of Greeks. It makes you feel like you're home, but of course you're in London. We've been told in the past by my English friends and co-students that we love the easy life, we love the sun, we love drinking coffee by the sea and all this. Yes, we do that, but we love working as well. You need to come and see all these Greeks that they are working and they are making their living in a pub, in a bar, in a restaurant, in the underground, as bus drivers, working in the banks, working as actors, dancers, directors. We feel that we are ambassadors of our country, and this makes everything even more serious. So, being an unemployed Greek in Greece, it's something that happens, but we are trying to come back. We need to see the green light in order to come back. We want to come back. We don't want to stay abroad, I guess, but we need to see the green light, and I'm sure that all of us will come back and enjoy this blessed country. Thank you.
Let's move on to the second round of keywords, and let's try to keep this tight. Stereotypes. Kat, do you have a personal experience to share?
Yes. So, when I think about stereotypes, sometimes I think about how company thinks that the young people are not ready to join the force. And I believe that we need to create programs that allow the youth to maybe work on soft skills, because what I have seen lately is that the training that you have and the knowledge that you have, it's important, but having the soft skills bypasses that. So I think if we create programs that allows the youth to work on their soft skill, communications, those sorts of things, we can maybe help the youth to get jobs and maybe break that stereotype that companies think. And maybe if companies sees that maybe a young person has all these skills, they can give the opportunity to the next person. And we just create a chain.
Thank you. companies in the room. Do you hear that?
So maybe we can go now for a word that we heard a lot about this morning. So maybe it will be interesting to hear also from your side. Zied, would you like to go?
Professional training was the main thing for me to get the job. With the EFE training that I got for 4 months, I have skills and I have development of my talent in many fields, especially that in our world, being young now in the job market is really hard. So we have to get and develop new skills to allow us to answer the job offers and the job requirements. EFE actually has given us training in many fields, professional fields, and that helped us to get an easy access to our careers. Also, professional training is not just about having acquisition of skills and knowledge. Also, it is having a professional culture that have an impact on all our career. Also, I'd like to add that professionalism especially is the main issue that have to be educated also in our universities, since it is the main requirement for all international companies that are the main job offers and the job creator. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sandra, the next word is independence, and it's for you.
Independence for me was very important. After getting a new job, a good job with a good salary, I started to look forward to do something new, to new experience. So I decided to move from my parents' home to another home alone. And that was a huge thing in my country because we're conservative and it's not something usual. So I will not talk about independence now, sorry, but I appreciate, I would like to thank the EFE in front of all of you, because you barely can find organization, they support the young people. I work in a hotel which have 80% of the employees are very young, fresh graduate. And that's because of the EFE. They went to the manager and they convinced him to invest in a fresh graduate. And they gave me a great opportunity. I have many skills that I discovered in myself. And that was something huge for me this year. So thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Maria.
Maybe we can go for another word that we've been hearing also, again, a lot through the day. So it will be, again, interesting to see how you see that. Ioanna, would you like to take that one? Oh, you're here, sorry.
We have two Joannas.
All right, so yeah, entrepreneurship, that's a buzzword. I remember my first experience with entrepreneurship, and it was part of my university course. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. I didn't think that was an employment option for me. But what I learned through that experience was that it wasn't just about creating the business. It was about innovative thinking and inspiring entrepreneurs and sustainable business and social enterprise. And it left me feeling really empowered and confident and passionate about what I could do. And what I'm really glad to see happening in Greece is that the conversation is now changing about entrepreneurship. It's something that has been vilified for quite a while. And now suddenly we are hearing about startups, we're seeing young people build their own companies. And I'm really glad that the conversation is changing. We haven't reached critical mass yet, but I think we're on our way. And I'd like to see it changing the mentality here in Greece. But in order for that to happen, I think there's another step that needs to take place, and that's the framework. Because in order for us to actually deal with the practicalities of being an entrepreneur day in, day out. And what I'm hearing from other people that are giving it a try is that it's a tough environment. And if I can leave one thing today is that all of us are stakeholders in this, the private sector, the state, the young people, but in order for us to claim our future, in order for us to actually step up and grow and become the generation that will shape the future, we need all of these pieces to come together so that we can become everything that we've been told that we could achieve. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Angeliki, the terms security versus insecurity, what do they mean to you?
Okay, so this keyword could also be easily connected to what I talked about previously about my studies, but it can also be connected with my feelings and my dreams about the future. So I'd really like one day to come back here to Greece and work here and put in practice all that I've been learning abroad, all this experience I've been gaining. The question I've been posing to myself these past months is that, okay, some of us have given this a great opportunity, not only to work abroad, but also in very big institutions. In my case, maybe in the biggest museum of modern art in the world. But what happens if I decide to come back to Greece? What are going to be my chances professionally? Am I going to be able to be productive, be creative? So I don't have the answers, and I know that these questions have been posed many times, but until the answers are given or I have found them, I think it's worth asking. So I choose to be optimistic, though.
Thank you for that note.
The next word will be the accessible working places. Maybe this is not something that we tend to talk very often about. So, Ioanna, would you like to tell us a bit more about this, what it means to you?
Yes. Well, I happen to be one of the very few visually impaired scientists in the world, because most of them work tend to do the same jobs who are defined for visually impaired people, such as telephone centers operators. And when I found my first job, I realized that I have to redefine everything from the beginning, educate the people, inform the people from my home to the office, inside the office, around the building. I had to arrange things like how I will work, how I will do simple things like write mathematics. And by leaving this job, everything was set up as a model to get some other person with a vision disability. Well, accessible is defined like something which is easy and friendly to use. And, but the job market is not easy and friendly to use. It's not open to disabled people. Unfortunately, the laws of Greece impose to disabled people to stay at home, because when somebody with a disability goes to have a job, his pension is stopped, is cut off, and in most of the cases, the salary that they receive is smaller than, is lowest than the pension. So people prefer not to go to work, and they prefer to stay at home doing nothing, because otherwise they will lose their pension. So unfortunately, there are very few of us working. And I believe that if all the other people will have the chance to go out there in the job market and express their problems and help to build a better working environment, it will be a benefit for everybody, because accessibility is not only for the disabled people, it is also for people who have family, it is also for people who have a problem in certain point in their life and they cannot deal with it, it's more friendly, it's more easy, it's more welcoming. So I really hope that in the near future, people with disabilities will have more opportunities to seek a job because they really want to, they really need to, and that the job market, work market will be more friendly and open towards them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's move on to the word competition. Fanny, would you like to comment on this?
Competition. I will talk again about my field. In research, the competition is really, really high. Next year, I'm finishing my PhD, and I will have again to pass through the same procedures of competitions in order to find scholarship and funding for my postdoctoral training. So a scientist needs funding for his master thesis, his PhD, his postdoctoral training, and if he is lucky to find a permanent position, he will need funding in order to run his own lab. Every Greek that leaves the country, this wonderful country, lives with the hope to come back someday. I'm not really sure if this is possible for scientists. Right now, there are no positions in research, funded positions, and you can ask me, what do you suggest about that in order to find solutions? I would suggest to establish PhD salaries, postdoctoral salaries, because I think that for Greek culture and for our country, it's really important to continue conducting research and science.
Thank you. Thank you, Fanny.
So our next word will be revolution. That's a word that is in everyone's mind sometimes. So, Hector, would you like to comment on that one?
Εγώ θα είμαι σύντομος αυτή τη λέξη, γιατί νομίζω ότι έχει...
I'll be brief because I think there's a lot that could be said about it. I chose it because I don't think that we should simply change the system itself, which is something that puts us the test today on a day-to-day basis. But I must say that I feel very much a Greek, and I have nothing to do with political parties that are nationalists, but I say that I feel that I'm a Greek because I feel rage when I see Greece going through what it does. And because I'm 19 years old, I must say that it saddens me to see children who are my age, who are Friday, Saturday and Sunday in a nightclub without knowing what it means for people that stay at home and who are going through hard times. And yesterday, I was on the street and I saw children looking through the rubbish bins to find food. I think it's a harsh contrast, and it's something that is not easy to assimilate. I don't think anybody here can actually stand seeing such pictures or images, but I hope in the future that I'll be able to have my own children, but I hope that I will not have to bring them into society such as my parents went through, and I'm talking about the junta. But I must say that this crisis that we're going through is very deeply entrenched, and nobody from the political leadership would know where it's going to end. I don't know if anybody could belie this point, but I think this is a harsh truth. And I think that we must be the first to revolt. I think we will be the one to lead the revolution. Thank you very much.
Exporting Greek culture, maybe that's a form of soft revolution. Evie?
Okay, Mom again. I call her from New York that time. I am therefore the Director's Lab, kindly sponsored by the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. I'm crying in despair. Mom, I didn't get the funding for my PhD at Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. So if I am to do it, I will have to work and study for the next 6 years at least. So my mom says in perfect Ianiotica, which I will translate for you now, she said, darling, what are you crying about? What is this Royal Central School of Speech and Drama? I have never even heard about it. So just drop it all and come back home. I didn't drop it, but I saw it as an opportunity to explore what is this international performing arts market. And actually I discovered that there is such a market which is accessible for Greek performance makers. And if they make some more stratified choices, as creating work that is authentically Greek, in terms of contemporary Greek, in terms of innovation, and at the same time, if they make the choice to create it in a language that would raise their potential audience from 11 million people to 7 billion people. This could, and there I saw an opportunity for Greek performance makers, for Greece, to start developing something like that. A starting point to look at could be possibly the funding or the profit from importing international culture, which is something we do a lot. Oh, have you heard of this fantastic show from this or the other country this institution is bringing in Greece? Or, oh, this great director is directing a Scandinavian play that really reminds you of Berlin stage. And this is fantastic that we value these international other cultures. And yes, let's keep on importing those amazing German and Japanese cars. But what about investing some part of this profit or funding to create our own Greek car? And this is actually a car that can succeed to be exported abroad, because there are two main assets the Greek culture hasn't tried yet in performing arts. And let's not confuse performing arts with classical studies or literature. It's a different thing. So we have these world known famous stars like Aristoteles, Plato, Aristophanes, who is my favorite. And we also own 5% of the English language. We see it very often as a disdain if we use the English language to create our own performances, but I think that it favors communicating. That's why this language favors communication, collaboration with other cultures, and the cohabitation on the planet, and can be a great vehicle for us to export Greek culture and employ for that young Greek performance makers. Thank you.
I hope someone from the floor can move on that idea together with you. Let's go to our next word that is also linked with this. So it's creativity. And Ioli, would you like to comment on that one?
The word creativity, I'm thinking about this word during creativity, during unemployment, during a period of unemployment. And I remember a friend who has told me a two-bound story. This friend of mine has another friend who is going to my friend's house every day to borrow a new book. And my friend complained that he's coming every day and he's going to have to find a new library, a new friend very soon, because he has read all my books. Another friend of this friend, also unemployed, is downloading movies and turning them into CDs, DVDs, and he has a huge film archive by now. And why I'm mentioning these two examples? First of all, there's the element of excess in both. Like we're talking about a big library, we're talking about an archive, not just one film or two films. This excess means a lot of energy. And this energy, in my opinion, and these specific aptitudes that people have and unemployed people have need to somehow be discovered. So I'm not talking about perhaps I'm talking about a revolution in terms of the division of labor, a new division of labor that would deploy people's aptitudes and talents, and in that way people would feel more useful and they would be more indispensable. They wouldn't be, it wouldn't be so easy for companies, employers to fire them. Thank you very much.
Well, now we have a more romantic term, nostalgia for the future. Dimitra, what does this mean to you?
This is a very poetic expression and very literary, and it can sound as an oxymoron, oxymoroschema. Most people feel nostalgia for the past, for things that they have experienced already, things that have happened. I suggest we feel nostalgia for a future, and we have a vision about a better future. And because sometimes I feel that we are nostalgic about the better days that have passed, that have gone through, and sometimes we forget that the present is now, and we might even feel nostalgic for the future because in that way the future will come faster and it will be better, and maybe this will be a feeling that will provoke more fresh ideas and even bigger will to just get over with this really bad crisis. This is my suggestion.
I just hope that this doesn't go with an expectation for the past.
The past is gone.
Romanticism to practicality, and there's the word flexibility. It has so many connotations. I would like to hear how do you interpret that one. And Lida, would you like to take the floor?
So flexibility is a word I understand too well, but I think I have trouble coming to grips with. I am Generation X. I'm defined by the need for stability, for norms and solid frameworks. Yet I think I'm only too conscious of that the world and the economic crisis made this really clear, that the world is in flux and that change is more constant than permanence. So if I'm to be true to myself, I have to embrace this reality. Therefore, flexibility for me becomes is something exciting as well as frightening. So if flexibility actually meant me looking for an ideal working environment and going after my dream job at the cost of having little or no material return for a long time. In the risky business environment, it meant that I have to accept and remain positive at every event of failure and evaluate myself after every action and every experience. Then flexibility means working in new ways, learning new things, which is great. But then changing plans all the time is not so great. you have to be aware all the time of opportunities and threats and tackle shortages ahead of time, create solutions where there are none. All this process is very creative. This flexible lifestyle is great, but it is tiring. And at some point, I'm sure I'm going to want to go steady with my business and focus on my personal life. And then I'll need to find some constants. Variables are not possible to live on variables all the time. So I just want to say I made this sacrifice. I tried to go along with the terms of our age, with this crisis and with all the economic ramification, everything that it means for us young people. So what I would like to ask from the people who actually are in charge of this, the economy and of how the world works, to be flexible with our claims as well. So, as much as I've tried to be flexible for them and to try to integrate in this environment, I'd like people to listen to me and to my needs and cooperate. I really like a cooperation with the system, the structures, and cooperate on changing structures. Anyway, just, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, thank you. Ari, do you persist in your life?
Okay, I would like to share something, a personal story about that word. Life is tough, that's a given, and life is also choice. So we all one day get hit hard by life, and when we get knocked down, we have only two choices. The first one is to just continue fighting and keep pushing until we overcome the difficulties and the problems that we face. And the other choice is to look for excuses and eventually, after some time, quit. In October, a person that I loved and cared for very, very much passed away after fighting cancer for 3 years. And it was a time period that was really difficult for me, but it was also a time period that really taught me many valuable things about life and opportunities. So I used to talk with that person about other people suffering cancer, and I was asking him why some people quit and don't keep on fighting until they win or lose, and why they don't persist. So this guy told me that persistence, there's no point in persisting if you don't know why. And persistence is only the third step. The first step is to find, to have a dream or have a purpose in your life. The second step is start fighting for this purpose and protect this purpose. And the third step is persisting until you get there or until you fulfill the dream. So talking about youth unemployment today, I would say that persistence is again the third step. The first step for young people is to find something that, find a job or create a job, a new job that they enjoy doing. And then the second step would be to work hard every day and keep pushing until they establish it in the market, if it's a new one. And then persist until the end, persist until they become successful in that job. I believe that opportunities are everywhere around us, and even in Greece, in the Greek crisis. But sometimes we're either too blind to see them or too impatient to wait for the door to open. So persist.
Thank you, Ari. And for our final keyword, it's the word success. And Konstantinos?
Yes. So I just noticed that nearly all of us in this panel, we are mentioning that we want to go to come back to Greece, and this is fascinating for me because I'm sharing the same belief. I like this word, success, because I've been brainwashed from my primary school years to get the best grades, the best marks, and then the high school was there, and then the same thing, the best grades and the best marks, because I should be successful. I should chase the success, and then the university comes, the same old story, and then you need to have a master's degree in order to be successful in this society that we are living, and a PhD, which I don't have, but I'm just saying that, and all this story. You need to chase success. You need to be successful in 2014, because otherwise you cannot do anything else. If I ask each one of you what success is for you, I'm sure that each one of you will give me a different answer. My grandma, she's like 84, a very strong and proud Pontic woman in a small village in northern Greece. And she believes that if I don't have a family, I'm unsuccessful. So at the moment, I'm unsuccessful, of course, for my grandma. But after all these years, our poet's lines always comes into my heart and into my mind. And I'm going to recite them for you. As you set out for Ithaca, hope that your journey is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. For me, success is the journey. For me, success is that we sailed into other seas. But now, we want to come back to our country, to our home, στην Ελλάδα μας. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Thank you, everyone. We need to wrap this up, but we would like to give you the opportunity, if you wish, to share with us a keyword that you might have thought and you would like to share it with us, and maybe one of our panelists can say a few words about your keyword, or if you'd like to ask a question. So we could take a couple questions or keywords. Gabriela.
I'd just like to give a keyword to somebody who never would like to pick it up. It's age, and it's because unfortunately in Greece, we consider young people and young artists to be somebody that is around the age of 30, whereas in any other European country, young people are up to the age of 24. So you would have the bizarre thing that you would say, oh, a young director, and this person would be 35, or 38 years old. So would somebody like to comment on age?
Thank you for that, because actually I forgot to mention my age. And I did forget because my physical age is 33. But when Lenia said, okay, you have to state your age, then I thought, which age? Because at days I'm so tired, I feel I am 200 years old. But on the other hand, my life choices and job choices and optimism makes me act like a 5-year-old. So I would say age is just a house number. Do you live in number 16 or 54? And what does that mean?
Thank you. Yes, please, the gentleman. Could you please state your name and affiliation?
Thank you. I'm Pavlos from Slow Food. So we like to have a particular relationship with time in general. Youth is great, but unfortunately youth has an expiry date. So I know a lot of young people that have a very old mindset, and don't forget that we are living in a country where a lot of young people are voting for extremists. What do you think our generation should do so we don't miss our youth? In the sense that youth is about understanding that we need a paradigm shift on the way we live, on the way we produce, on the way we commune to each other. So I heard the girls saying that at some point I want to focus on my personal life, I want to be more stable, and then, probably then you will stop being a youth. Do you think there are ways that we can advance in our society, in our way of doing things, by maintaining our generation's signature?
have a candidate here for.
I think what makes you youthful, well, at least what we associate with youth, is this curiosity that we have and this willingness to try things. And that's something that you don't, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can keep that. And I think that's sort of pivotal to what we do. Then again, in our personal life, we might want some sort of stability, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to stay curious and keep producing things and keep moving forward with what we do. It's about finding that balance between the two. Now, in terms of doing something for our generation to have that, I think a lot of us have it. It's about discovering it, and it takes a lot of empowerment. It takes examples, and it also takes opportunities to find ourselves out of our comfort zone. And if we find, some of us do it ourselves, some of us need someone else to sort of pull us along in it. So if we can create situations where any person our age can find themselves a little bit outside their comfort zone and question how they're doing it, you start liking that and you hold on to that, and hopefully you never lose it and you stay part of youth for as long as you can.
Thank you. I'm afraid we don't have any more time for questions, but our very good and inspirational speakers will be here for at least a few hours. I hope you won't leave. So maybe you can have a chance to talk to them when the first day is over. Please join me in applauding them. Before we step down, I would like to thank Maria for sharing this panel, and now I would like to ask my friends from this panel to step down with me from the stage and ask you to stay with us for half an hour. Don't leave just yet, because we have a surprise for you. We will clear the stage for two performances. One is from a School Wave band. School Wave is an institution that's been running for many years now in Greece. It's basically rock bands comprised of school children, and they'll play for 7 minutes. And then we'll have another surprise from you from an organization called Pangea, but I can't tell you anything more at this point. And while we do this whole setup change, you will watch 3 videos that we have edited from the breakout sessions that took place earlier this afternoon. So the ones who attended 1 or 2 of the 3, you can have an idea of what actually took place and what was discussed in the other ones. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you.
In this session on entrepreneurship, the panelists discussed a proposal for an entrepreneurship institute in Greece, which will educate, facilitate, and promote entrepreneurship in Greece. The institute will focus on key areas of growth in the Greek economy, such as ICT, agriculture, and tourism. The panelists made several points, emphasizing the importance of policy change in promoting growth in the sector, incentives that can take the form of direct funding or loans, developing networks of key stakeholder groups and promoting collaborations among them, and bringing in international networks to create awareness about the Institute and the ideas of young entrepreneurs. In closing, the panelists discussed the important role philanthropic foundations can play in further developing the sector. Thank you.
Today's breakout session on agricultural development started with a presentation prepared by Rutgers University, the American Farm School, and the Agricultural University of Athens, which falls under the Recharging the Youth initiative taken by the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. The panel was comprised by members and representatives of educational institutions and the private sector. The main points of this presentation revolved around the need for the creation of entrepreneurship centers, the implementation of an awareness campaign in order to bring Greek youth closer to the agricultural field, and the establishment of extension services. The main points of the panelists focus on the needs and problems encountered by Greek farmers, the efforts made by private companies and educational institutions to address them, and the importance of engaging young people in the field by giving them, though, the right tools to work with. As we heard, according to recent studies, only 7% of Greek farmers are under 35 years old, and of that 7%, 39% has or would like to start their own business. At the same time, agriculture is identified as one of the drivers for growth in Greece. So the question that the panel tried to answer is, what do we as individuals, corporations, the state or foundation have to do in order to achieve that? The main prevailing responses lied in the notion of education. We need to invest in that in order to provide farmers with the basic knowledge and help them get hands-on experience. Also introduce new cultivation methods, develop public and private partnerships which will secure the required sustainability and scalability, and also improve infrastructure. We also heard that governments should implement the proper regulatory policies, and corporations have to work in a more transparent and more respectful way in order to gain the trust of the consumers. If Greece manages to produce quality products, have more exports and less imports, adjust its production to the needs of the market, then it was our common belief that agriculture can indeed address some of the problems of unemployment, and especially youth unemployment in Greece.
The panel of cultural tourism highlighted the potential of this sector to become a driver for growth. It has been recognized so through various levels, in international and European levels, in national level, in a local level. And this because it can create a multiplier effect for the creation of economic and social development, for social cohesion and the upgrade of the quality of life. It can not only contribute to job creation, but also to obtaining knowledge, the sense of belonging, and the promotion of volunteerism as a way to involve the youth. The Stavros Niarchos Foundation pilot initiative that is currently under design with the collaboration of the Ministry of Culture and the Initiative for Heritage Conservancy has been presented. It aspires to change the way we manage cultural heritage in the country, given especially the shrinking budgets. It aspires to promote good practice, to implement international examples, always adapting them in the local special conditions. In particular, commenting in this presentation, the panelists illustrated examples for the promotion and upgrade of cultural heritage sites and how they can be transformed into more extrovert sites. Some points that can be replicated are the importance of engaging the local communities and, in general, developing the coordination and collaboration with local stakeholders, the provision of easy access to the sites, the education and innovation as a way to attract visitors and keep them returning, the creation of hands-on programs that accompany the visit, and in general, the creation, the development of an attracting visitor experience and narratives that address various target groups and that touch upon emotions. Also, the sites have to be carefully chosen so they are able to be preserved, promoted, and sustained appropriately. Finally, main issues that were identified as essential to be taken into consideration were, first, the need to design a long-term strategy and implement a specific policy. Second, collaborations in the examples of public-private partnerships could further enhance this effort. Third, scholarships, traineeships, internships. These are practical solutions that can enhance skills and create opportunities for the youth. Fourth, it is necessary to keep a correct balance between the promotion of cultural tourism and the preservation of cultural heritage. And finally, the role of edutainment. We should make history education more interesting, so to bring people in the sites and bring the sites into the people's minds.